17 trips, all but one unbelievable. If I told you a month ago, I like to frame it that way, that you're going to see 17 postseason games. What do you think, Coach Al?
I wouldn't have thunk we got that far. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying just be happy that you got that far. But the other person says, well, you go that far, you definitely want to win. So there's a lot of mixed comments.
So your bottom line sentiment, your takeaway is what then? More positive? Of course.
Positive that they can, with a couple of younger pitchers coming up and one or two moves they make, and there's got to be two or three people in that lineup that have better years next year.
Yeah,
than they
so
had
many
this year.
people are upset with the manager that becomes the overriding takeaway today versus the number 6 seed that played a bunch of games as an underdog and prevailed and came up with unbelievable moments, brought the best out in Philadelphia fans, in my opinion. I thought the best, craziest fan behavior we've ever seen. A lot of people have measured that, okay? We outnumbered the football game last Thursday night. Nobody thought that was ever going to happen. It was just a crazy, great, fun, thrilling run. I don't think all of that is washed out by a loss. We're bitter. The manager clearly made the wrong call with taking Wheeler out, and a couple other ones too. He did not distinguish himself the second part of the World Series. Be that as it may, Wiz, where are you?
I am on the upset side of things. Yeah, I see the positivity that we made it here, and that was a great run. But no, I mean not satisfied that we didn't win that World Series. And I guess that we shouldn't have. We're not the favorite by any means. We're playing a team that had 19 more wins than we did this regular season. Astros are clearly the better team, but we made it to the World Series, and I want to win. And we were up 2-1 in that series and in control. And knowing where we were, 2-1, I think we were probably the favorite at one point to win that series at that exact moment, if not 50-50. And we didn't.
At home
and
for
we
the
didn't.
next two.
So, yeah, absolutely. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I get, okay. I know one thing. I could not watch, and I'm an NFL guy, and I love college football. I live for that. And Saturday's games were nuts, okay? Kelly going for the 2 against Bama.
Loved it.
Baton Rouge. Oh, my God, that was epic. I could not jump in to the card Sunday a little bit. I couldn't watch anything. So I did chores. I worked on the pot. I did stuff. And Marion said, I could not watch NFL football for the first time in memory.
It's because you were upset about the Phillies.
Yeah, well, after being so zoned in to baseball where every pitch, right, quintessentially speaking, every pitch matters. So you're into each pitch, and all of a sudden, I'm watching Rodgers throw his third interception. I'm watching the other guy against the Jets not be able to move the ball.
See, I'm upset.
I thought it was pitiful football.
I'm upset because I don't think we played that series to our best potential. And I'm not talking about it from a performance standpoint. I'm talking about from a strategic standpoint.
Interesting.
And it's one thing to lose knowing we gave it our all. It just doesn't seem like Philly Rob put us in the position to maximize the team's success for how they were doing.
That's irrefutable.
I mean, he just did nothing to change that lineup. And I get that's been his mantra all year. Do nothing when Schwarber struggles. Let it come back. But you don't have that luxury of time. You don't have 160 games to let this work out. You have 7, maximum 7. And when you're up 2-1 and then you get no hit, and then Hoskins continues to strike out, and Castellanos just chases pitches, and he does nothing to change it. That's part's frustrating. I mean, why do we have to watch Bohm, who hit 290 in the World Series, lead off every inning because Castellanos is getting out? Why is nothing changing? Stott he didn't have a hit. And I get he had some good at-bats, but he didn't have a hit.
And Coach, perfect. Amen. Okay? You just underscored it. Well stated. Coach, when you say because that's how we got here, I can give you 25 examples to prove you've done the opposite, notwithstanding success or not. Let me give you one on the biggest macro. Harper gets hurt with the thumb, and that's in June, correct? You know what I mean? My time and dates and months, but I'm pretty sure it's in June. Could be, whatever. And when he leaves at that point, Coach, is he batting fourth or third? Batting third.
Yes.
Okay. So you come back and you're batting fourth. Is that because guys in front of him were posting up batting averages of 315 or on base percentage of 380? No. So he's batting. Now you have Schwarber in the playoffs gets hot. Legitimately, hats off, by the way. And as far as being wrong, boy, I got a lot of texts about that. You're going to finally get. Hey, for all the people that called me out, God bless you. I love you. I won't tell you your timing's really bad. Everything we said about Schwarber in the regular season was spot on. The fact that he did way better in the post, God bless him. Hats off. We were wrong about that in the playoffs, no doubt about it. So you have Schwarber hot as hell. He's your second performer. Okay. Dead Harper. You mean to tell me that Coach hasn't figured out by now that not only do they have to stack their offensive weapons assets, but look around Major League Baseball, Coach. If I see you tonight, okay, at a local Capitol Grill, I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going to tell you something first. That Judge and Trout have played 2,000 Major League Baseball games. How many times, yes, to either one of you, do you think they've batted fourth? This is something you'll only hear on Speaking of Sports. When you hear the answer, call Grandmom and say, I just heard this for the first time. You'll never hear it again. 2,000 games. How many times is Trout or Judge,
I would say,
prolific home run hitters, bat fourth?
I'm going to say 20 just because knowing you that it's really
and you know me well.
Extreme
We
the
have
other
some
way,
stories.
whatever.
Yeah,
You know me
knowing
well.
if I didn't know
Yeah,
the
of course,
question,
I'm gaming
I would
you.
say maybe less than 200 because I know Judge leads
Right.
off. I know Trout bats usually
Right.
2, so I know they're not 4 hitters.
Yeah, okay. Maybe this is our TikTok moment. All right, Trout and Judge have batted fourth 11 times in 2,000
That's
games.
nuts. Wow.
And guess what? When you look at the players, they probably had a little more offense in front of them. Certainly the Yankees did. You could argue that Trout didn't. But the bottom line is that's not where your best player belongs.
And that's not where Harper was.
That's not where he was. That's when you make the lineup up when you're back in 1964 and we can have the pool and we're going to play a wiffle ball game. You got like 16 kids and everybody's going, I'm batting fourth. Okay, because that's where best hitters bat at bats. We're Willie Mays, guys like that. Then baseball woke up and said, no, we don't want the game to end with our best player in the on-deck circle, which almost happened twice. Okay, thank you for a walk. So Harper gets up. And what do they do when he gets up? They hit him. That was a pitch around, for anybody that didn't know it. They're not going to pitch to Harper there with Castellanos in the back of him.
Why would they? Yeah.
Well,
I turn it over.
as the Wiz just said
I'm fired up.
a minute ago, an easy move to move Bohm up one slot before Castellanos.
Whatever
That's
you
not
do.
a drastic change. It's one little move, but it makes all the sense in the world.
I get that it's the land of diminishing returns because other than Schwarber, whatever the hell his name is, I'm hot right now, guys. I am hot for the first time this year on the podcast.
And that is why
nobody.
your true feelings are that you're not happy. You're disappointed because this anger is what you should be feeling. This anger or devastation
Sigmund
or some
Freud.
combination of between. There is no positivity
He
today.
looks like Sigmund Freud.
This is nothing but a World Series was taken away from us by our own ineptitudes
I'm pissed off.
going into Game 4. And then you can question what the Astros may or may not have done. But going into Game 4, we were up 2-1, and our coach did nothing to change it.
He's gonna
now, I
make me
get Game
pissed
4,
off.
you don't make those changes, but after a no-hitter, you should make a change. I don't care what you did in the regular season, how you bounced back after a no-hitter and scored runs. How many bad at-bats? It's not like Hoskins was hitting line drives to people,
No,
and they're
look at
making
outs.
jumping catches
Right,
over here.
right.
His at-bats were pathetic. They were absolutely pathetic, and we kept him in the 2-hole.
71. I mean, here are the strikeouts. 11, 11, 11, 14, 12, 12, 13. This is interesting, all right? A second stat you'll only hear on Speaking of Sports. So we're going to Coach Al here. All right. Major League Baseball in general against the Astros pitching. You should be curious, how did they do? If the Phillies did so bad, how did the rest of baseball do during the regular season? And you'll see quickly that the rest of baseball batting average against 212, pretty darn impressive, right? Major League Baseball average batting average was about 242, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Houston way better, 212. How on earth did the Phillies bats, which were considered to be top 5 run production all year, bat 159? What am I missing? How about this? If you take innings pitched and divide by hits for the Astros, 1,445 innings pitched, 1,121 hits, that comes out to a hit factor of like .077, or I might be saying that wrong. The Phillies were half of that, hits per inning. So they didn't do that. They struck out more. The Astros were 9 Ks per 9 innings. Phillies were 12. So across all of the measurement numbers, if you will, the Phillies were way worse against the Astros pitching than the rest of Major League Baseball, which has the very pedestrian bad teams in that mix. So we really stunk the joint out offensively, but it was very acute after the first 3 games. First 3 games, we averaged 5 runs, 22 hits, still got 11 Ks, of course. Runners in scoring position were 4 for 20. We're up 2-1. You have a no-hitter, lights out, baby. We never come back. Everybody said, flush it. And it looked like we did. Schwarber leads off with a home run. Flush it. We didn't flush it, did we? So
No, I think the main thing is the Phillies have been known for, and it really came out in this series, they just don't put the ball in play enough, and then there's they're guessing so much on pitches. They have to be when you're letting the first pitch go right down the middle. That might be the best one you're going to get. And you could just see Hoskins a few times. That pitch was thrown. He just walked out of the box because he was looking for this, and he got that.
He's lost.
How disgusting was it to see him walking out of the box? I've never seen a Major League Baseball play. Imagine Trout doing that. Trout may give you, I know it's there. He ain't walking out of the box before the call's made. Hoskins does it twice.
He's in stride almost, yeah.
Oh,
He's in stride.
It's a guy who knows he's lost. I mean, Hoskins' whole thing, his whole career has been when he's hot, he can be as deadly as anybody out there. And when he's cold, he'll be worse than anybody out there. And unfortunately, he just got cold at the wrong time. And you can see it. You can see it in his eyes. You can see it in his performance.
Yeah.
It's funny. If you look at the Astros versus Phillies offense, the entire season, they are virtually identical. In runs per game, they're next to each other.
Yep.
In hits, they're less than 50 hits apart
It's
from the
uncanny.
entire season. Home runs, they're within 10 of each other. RBIs, they're 4 apart the entire season.
Yeah.
Batting average, they're right there. OBP, they're 2 points apart. Everything is right there except for strikeouts.
Right.
And that was a story of the postseason. The Astros don't strike out. 1,179. That's second lowest in baseball.
Yep.
And the Phillies are about middle of the pack. So it's not like they're a high strikeout team.
Right.
But the fact is, when you're in this postseason and really when the going gets tough, you got to put the ball in play. I mean, look at Jeremy Pena for the Astros. He puts that ball in play, and it gets right by the shortstop, and that clutch hit in that inning. And that's what you need. A strikeout doesn't do you anything there. And if Brandon Marsh could have put that ball in play in Game 5, was it Game 5? Instead of striking out there with the man on third?
First and third.
Totally different. If you put the ball in play, anything can happen. And look what happened. The only reason we made it to the World Series was because we put the ball in play. Yeah. Game 1 against Houston, Segura comes up and he throws his bat at it. And what does it do? It squeaks by the second baseman.
That was against the
Cardinals.
Yeah,
Game 1 of the playoffs. Yeah. Before that, there's a ground ball to Goldschmidt, who's a Gold Glover. And what does he do? He makes the wrong decision. He hesitates coming home. Ground ball to third base to Arenado. He does this weird dive, hesitates, wrong decision.
Because it's in play.
Because it's in play.
Yep.
You don't
we
give
didn't
yourself
put
a
we
shot
didn't
when
put
you strike out.
the Astros in that situation. We had very few balls in play for them to even possibly make mistakes.
And how many choppers do we give to Bregman? I mean, oh my God, you're giving this guy, and he's a great player, but you're giving him easy plays. I mean, God, we're not even hitting the ball hard.
Just foul. If they're fair, one of those choppers by Hoskins is a double. But it was as close as I've ever seen a ball not be fair. I swore it was. I said to Marion, that's a fair ball. We replayed it like 3 times. It's a foul ball. It's by a half of a nickel.
Yeah.
Okay, and great job by the umpire. Marion was asking me who's got that call because you saw the third base umpire make it. Now in Little League, the rule was up to the bag. Home plate had it, and past the bag, the base ump had it. He made the call. I think that's before the bag if it stops. But anyway, some bad breaks on those choppers down the third base line.
There were. I mean, look at
yeah,
Schwarber when he pulled that ball, and it was, and their first baseman was right on the bag holding the guy on.
Yep.
I mean, that's really
But how
frustrating.
about the bare hand plays?
That was a nice play.
He
That
does.
bare
How
hand
did he
play.
make it
Yes,
serious?
He does
Two or
that as
three
well as
was.
anybody.
Right?
He does.
And to go back to the one at first base,
Oh,
Gurriel got hit in the head in a rundown, and they
Yep.
bring in Trey Mancini, who's an outfielder,
Yep.
and you happen to have a man on first.
we hit it right to his glove.
I mean, if there's nobody on first, you got to be off the bag maybe a foot or two more, and it
no,
goes
that's
straight down the line. There's so many
Still
ifs.
running.
Yeah.
Still running. Ball's bouncing. I could see it bouncing around. Still bouncing around. Yeah, he circles the bases 4 times. Stone cold bad break right there.
Yeah.
And he hit a friggin' seed.
Oh yeah, it was a
That was so hard. Like, you didn't even know what happened. He's out. I was like, I didn't think it could be fair. But the ball didn't have enough scientific force to go foul. It was hit too hard. It was just
It
an
was
absolute
straight down the line.
seed down the line, and there he is. Bad break. There are some bad breaks when Pena gets the single. The time before that against Wheeler, single up the middle. I thought the shortstop, and I think Jimmy has a picture of this, was too far over to begin with. I thought Wheeler expected a double play on that 19 hop ground ball. I was shocked to see that. And Hoskins stretch at first base. I know Jimmy's on top of this. I mean, here he is, Al. You gotta stretch your groin. You gotta go on the injury list because you hurt your legs on the stretch there. You know, as a first baseman, I gotta get this double play. I have to get it. Instead, we have this very passive non-stretch.
So
We have a picture of a friend from softball that Chad found, Bobby K. I hope Jimmy has it. He's doing the proper stretch. If we want to,
and what we should be showing too, if we're showing all this, I would say, Jim, put up a picture of Freddie Freeman stretching at
The right
first
way,
base.
yeah.
Because look at that stretch.
no.
I mean,
just show it
it is
to the camera.
I was
insane.
just going to say,
Yeah.
that is how you stretch as a first. When you wake up as a professional first
Shoot that
baseman,
to Jimmy.
you should do nothing but stretch for the first hour of your
Now,
day.
you and I should do that right
well,
now.
we've talked about lack of leg movement with Hoskins just
Lack of
playing
leg
normal.
all
movement.
season. All season.
And it's like, if you're not gonna hit, at least make the right plays on defense. I'm not saying make the dive, but do the little things right. Get your stretch right, and that's why, in my opinion, we have to part ways with Hoskins. I get it won't happen this offseason. It'll probably be next one.
I got a little pushback on Sunday from a couple of people saying, no, you got the picture, Chuck, of him here, okay? Prior to that, he was a little more extended. Let me ask you something. And that's baloney compared to Freeman, compared to Bobby's picture. Would you hold that, or would you relinquish that position for the umpire to make the call? If you were further than Hoskins' position here, would you stay in it, or would you very quickly recoil out of it to make it look like the ball's closer to your body? You'd stay in the position, just like catcher's
Frame and a ball.
Come
exactly.
on.
Same thing.
Yeah, that's a crazy point, that pushback. I type back, do better than
And
that.
you know what? You can get away with this stuff when you're winning the game 8-2, 8-3. But now here you are on the main stage in the World Series, and it's just
It's a
for
double play. And I'll
everybody
tell
to
you,
see.
Segura threw a complete seed without being back of the ball. He's up here and he throws a seed. Let's talk about the guy that leads off with the Maldonado.
Oh,
I
God.
know you're worked up about that.
I am
Liz.
worked. I'm worked up.
Go.
About it, yeah.
Me too.
I mean, look, you look back to earlier in the series when the guy leaned in and the umpire made the right call.
Right.
You cannot lean into a pitch. But in this case, Maldonado, he did not lean into the pitch.
Al, give us a
But-
good Maldonado. Go ahead.
Maldonado.
There we go.
What he failed to do was make an attempt to get out of the way. And the rule says you're entitled to first if you get hit by a pitch, unless the batter makes no attempt to avoid being touched by the ball. If you look at the video, he made no attempt. He actually leans his elbow forward and then tucks it into the ball.
Nicely done.
Now, in my opinion, if that's how people are going to be playing, the MLB needs to take away all these guards they're wearing. If you want to do that, fine. Then you can have a shattered elbow to deal with.
That's the best
because they're wearing these
these
little
all year.
paddings on there. They don't feel anything when they're getting hit. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't hurt. It's not going to break a bone. If you're going to out there and take a free base by not avoiding the ball, the umpire is not going to make the call, and you don't even get hurt for it. You just get a little deflection because you have a huge pad on. I mean, he should have a shattered elbow if you're going to be playing like that.
Chad, that is seriously.
But
now I'm serious.
no, these guys wear so much protection, which is fine. I'm all for players' safety.
Right.
But
let's put football.
But then they're letting the ball hit them.
Let's put the real thin football pads on that the quarterbacks used to wear. That one guy for Washington comes to mind. Okay, the real thin pads on the quarterback years ago. And let's just put them on the batters so you can take them on the shoulder, too. You got a great point.
Do you think these guys are going to be doing this if they're not wearing those elbow guards like that? No, they're not.
Not when you have a chance of hitting your elbow.
God, do you know how bad that would hurt getting hit in the elbow there?
As JT said, is throwing, what did he call it? The lightning bolts? JT describing Wheeler the Sunday. Nope.
He's throwing rockets. He's throwing rockets. He's throwing 97 miles per hour.
I think he said lightning bolts.
We can get into that, but I noticed something in a conversation of other players talking about Maldonado. He's like the unofficial team leader.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt in their mind that was his mindset to go up there. Now, he's fairly close to that line anyhow in the batter's box. But, 98% of batters, when they have that lead foot, they're not stepping towards the plate. They're stepping out.
He moved up a foot. Let's underscore that. And JT's asking for a ball that runs inside. I don't know if I saw him lead off. I got to keep the leadoff hitter off of that. My Lord, look at the game. I don't know that I'm going to mess around with anything inside, although the temptation is to bust him in up on the plate. All right? And he does. Then it's a ball, and he just takes it. When you unwrap all that, I don't know, maybe you stay away. I guess that's stupid.
And that was a pitch where he was shattering a lot of bats, too.
Yeah.
So, it was within an inch of being a strike hitting the inside corner.
If the umpire makes the right call, that pitch is totally fine. Because the right call there is the umpire to say, dead ball, this is a ball.
Right.
It's a 1-1 count, I believe.
Right.
And there's a 95% chance that batter gets out because he's playing with a broken hand, and he's an absolutely terrible hitter hitting 180. He's done. Sit down. Wheeler's got him. There's now 2 outs. No, 1 out, I believe. Altuve comes up, hits that ground ball. Now there's 2 outs. Wheeler's in the game versus Pena. Stays in the game instead of Alvarado coming in and getting shelled.
Yeah, 2 things. I think Major League Baseball needs to revisit the rule. If you do call as a non-batter's interference, intentional obstructing with the pitch, in my opinion, that's batter's interference. You're out, like other rules where the batter's out. Some of the bunt, bats on the ground, stuff like that, interfering with the catcher, stuff like that. There are more harsh penalties to do it. So if I got a batter intentionally taking a ball, that batter's out, in my opinion. You just can't do it. But I got to tell you something, and I'm not going to say the Astros cheated to win, but that won't be forgotten. Because if it wasn't a World Series game, you know what the next batter would have done?
Chin music.
Yep. The next batter would have wore one in his mouth, okay? Because that's what how the pissed off the Phillies were at that. Everybody plays everybody next year, right? The new schedule. Everybody plays everybody. Maldonado will come up, and it may be against Wheeler. I got to tell you something. Just footnote that situation because the Phillies will not forget. And the umpire had to make the right call.
See, it really bugged you when that was the intent with Maldonado, and he got away with it.
He got away with it.
And it's not like we're angry Philly fans. The rule says the batter must make an attempt to avoid being touched by the ball, and he didn't do that. So the umpire can't miss that call. You have to make that call there. That's what they're paid for, and he just didn't make. And it completely changed the entire game. And we all know if you win Game 6. Anything can happen in Game 7.
And I'm sure that's definitely not reviewable.
No, it's not reviewable.
And it
should be. It really should be.
Pivot backwards. We brought it up already, but let's go dive in a little bit on Marsh. First and third, I think Stout's on third, good second fastest runner on the Phillies. I think he's 27 miles an hour, some crazy number like that. Okay, first and third against a guy whose ERA at the time is like 0 with Presley's in. Okay, inexperienced player. He has some history of putting down a bunt, safety suicide. He can bunt. I'm told by the Phillies he can bunt. They know that from practice. What a perfect Al. You and I, we know Pete, Mike, Chad, anybody that's ever coached. You know we're putting down a safety there. I don't say
Safety
suicide
squeeze. You're
because
right.
of the pitch, the roll, the spin of Presley's balls, the sliders. That'll get some attention. But so he's hard to automatically bunt with your runner coming down the line. But they're holding the guy on first. You know we used the language last week. It's foul or you're at work. Aim for the line. Okay, it's what we tell the players. Go to the chalk. If you miss, it's a foul, strike one. If you're successful at the chalk, mission accomplished. You try it. Maybe you try it twice, but you try a safety squeeze. Second it goes down the first base line, here comes your runner. You have the and instead you're watching him swing and miss, by 8 feet, and you know how the at-bat's going to end. I was brokenhearted on that at-bat.
I think the bat ended with like a 59-footer in the dirt.
Yeah.
And the thing was, it looked like Marsh had no thought process of just to make contact.
No.
He looked like he was trying to hit it 400 feet.
Yeah, he was. None of the Phillies shortened their swings up. That's another topic for this day, but nobody adjusted.
That's
nobody.
why I'll say the decision to leave McCullers, the guy who gave up all the home runs, was an unbelievable decision by Dusty in hindsight. It got the Phillies' bats ruined. It was a home run derby that night. And the Phillies were hitting home runs more than Marsh hit a home run. And I think I do think that messed with the psyche a little bit. Marsh says, hey, I hit a home run yesterday. I'm feeling myself a bit here. Big opportunity, make a name for myself in Philly.
Yeah.
Not put the ball in play or hit a home run.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know, but it clearly had to mess with the psyche because the Phillies got no hit the next day and didn't hit the whole rest of the series.
Yeah, they got the good pitch. You look at the launch angle, see if there's any adjustments when they were swinging in the at-bat. I used to defend Rhys Hoskins. That's because career-wise, we're talking about years where he was like, 864 OPS. He puts up a 794. You're doing me no good. Your career low is 846. Once you dip under 800, Rhys, your on-base percentage is now down against your career. Your slug is now down against your 492 career. You're not doing me any favors at your current numbers. Walks are down. His strikeouts are up to 170. He's so slowly morphed into a different player offensively. He used to be, 860 OPS, like 3 something, high threes on base percentage.
Yeah, he walked a lot.
You knew he was 250, but he gave you 360, 380 on base with power. He still had 70 extra base hits, hence the 875 one year, just under 900. Once he dips under 8, and he becomes a higher strikeout guy, and he can't catch a cold on a windy day, I think you move him. But
it's almost ironic. It seems like the little bit he gets in play, Schwarber might be on with a walk, and it's a double play ball. I mean, it's just.
I mean, the problem with Rhys is just consistency. If he could just bring us the same type of performance all year, you could almost work with it better. But when it's so hot and cold like that, it's so hard to manage. I mean, you don't know what type of Rhys you're going to get that night. There's no consistency. There's no like battling back. It's like I'm 2 for 5, 2 for 4, or 0 for 5. That's a really big problem.
You take Wheeler out, so we talk about that. So you go back to his last batter in the 5th. You're as good as your last out in the previous inning. It was McCormick, 3rd out in the 5th. Cade Lookie, 96 mile an hour. Foul ball, 98. Strike 3, swinging 97. Boom, boom, boom. All right? And that's what JT meant when he said he was throwing lightning bolts, I believe. And then he goes into the 6th, and you got the hits Batman, and you got the bleeder. Should have been out in a double play. There's nothing at that point that makes me assess that he's not on top of his game. Some people say in the best game he threw all year long, notwithstanding some texts I got earlier in the game criticizing Wheeler. I said, okay. But that's a little private joke. I hope somebody laughed. But the change, go ahead, Coach, start.
We'll see.
What are you doing?
The biggest thing, I mean, hindsight's so easy with Thompson with the lefty on lefty, although that's the fourth time that Alvarado faced, the slugger, and he creamed that ball. But anyhow, I would go on Wheeler was still throwing 97, 98. Now, if that had dipped down to 94 or something, I think you got a little bit of reasoning
Or
in
his
there.
control.
But it's too much to left come in to pitch to the left, and Alvarado, I mean, had proved it. Now, a month ago, there's no doubt on that move. If he gets hit, that's the move to make. But not when he faced him before in the series and hit him in the back.
Yeah.
And
you're bringing him into a dirty inning. He likes a clean start. You're bringing him in once again with the big lefty. And he has no margin for error. And I know that's in his head. How many times does the big guy come in and throw a ball foot off the plate? But you know he's going to kind of focus it, zone it back in, and he does. The camera lens, and all of a sudden he's, low and filthy at 100, and you know he's got him. When you come in, high leverage game on the line, and that guy's up, you can't be real positive walking in there. He's taking away the inside, so to speak. Because if I miss inside with runners on, I'm cooked. I just blew the inning up. So I don't have the inside to pitch comfortably. At least this is the way my frame of reference would be as a pitcher. I already hit the guy. I'm a little bit timid there. So what are you going to do?
I don't think Alvarado was the right decision there.
No,
I mean, coming into that game, he had a 4.5 ERA in the postseason.
Right.
This guy had a great second half, and all of a sudden, it was the assumption that he was the best pitcher on this roster here. Why didn't we bring in Robertson?
Let's
a chance to get someone out.
Let's let's go to the other left-hander.
Sir Anthony.
Yeah. No.
You're talking about
Ranger Suarez.
Yeah,
a Ranger.
Yeah.
Why Alvarado again?
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't had a great series. He hasn't looked good really the past 2 weeks, and we bring him in.
It's a shame that our manager is self-inflicted, because these things never work out repeatedly in baseball. How many times have you tried to go back to the well? The well will bite your nose off or somebody part. But he's going to now live in the offseason everywhere he goes, even people that are nice to him. I would be nice to him, of course. But, Coach, what were you thinking? Well, I thought I'd get the strikeout there. But Wheeler was throwing lightning bolts, according to JT, who never used that characterization. When a catcher like JT, Mr. Macho Man, refers to his battery mate as lightning bolts, that's been like for JT. Okay, he's talking about that extended action that some pitchers get on the four-seamer, right? Yeah, and you got the hiss and all that, and he's like, they're not going to hit him. And
if you remember the previous time that Alvarado was in there after he hit him in the back, then he threw 2 or 3 wild pitches, or maybe 2 wild pitches and 1 pass ball. So now when you bring him in situations like that, he's afraid to throw that cutter down there.
Yeah. Alvarado closed the postseason with a 5.5 ERA.
Yeah.
Ranger had a 1.23 and Robertson had a 1.17. I mean,
what have you done for me lately?
Not only that, if Ranger comes in and he doesn't perform, but at least Rob Thompson's getting said, listen, I'm putting everything out there that I think is the right move, because this is the last game. Otherwise,
would you rather save Ranger or use him and have a chance to battle in Game 7 with the whole entire team ready?
Live to see the sun come up, because it will come up. Going to give us a little bit of anti-air. How can 5 batters, Hoskins, JT, Harp, Casty, they say, make you sick, and Segura go 4 for 54 in Major League Baseball? Is that how good the Astro arms are?
Well,
good.
I'll give you an example. In that no-hit game, there wasn't a ball hit hard until Segura hit a line drive off of Montero in the 8th inning. That was by far the hardest hit ball of the. I mean, they just weren't getting anything.
The last 3 games, you can count the balls that were really barreled big time. Under 10.
Oh yeah,
You're definitely under 10.
Comparatively, game 1 through 3, 218 batting average, nothing to write home about. But given the circumstances, 101 games 4 through 6. 15 runs versus 3. How about this stat? 11 extra base hits games 1 through 3. 3 after that. How about that? This is the tell. This is the one I want to get license plates if you want to remember the World Series. Games 1 through 3, 446 slugging, which is okay. What do you think 4 through 6 was slugging percentage for the Phillies?
Well, let's drop that down at least a couple hundred.
So your answer is? Good. Quick. Timing's up.
1 and change.
I'm looking at it.
Okay. Yeah. 180. Slug. That could get many runs, is it? Yeah. It's just unbelievable. So what we're demonstrating here to our listeners, and thank you once again for record numbers. I'm not supposed to say the number. I don't know why aren't we supposed to say it, Coach Wiz.
You're proud of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
We broke 5,000 this week. I'm
Sure.
Saying.
I'm gonna say that
Sorry.
I think the Phillies beat themselves more than the Astros beat them. I really feel that way.
That is a good way to frame the question for the series. Did the Phillies beat themselves more than the Astros' arms beat the Phillies?
I don't know. We could go back to the old poem there. No, there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty put your name in has struck out. Take Casey out of there, struck out, and put Hoskins or somebody else in there.
What's your answer? Did they beat themselves, or did the Astros just flat out? Well, we all agree they're the best team, the Astros.
Best team by
Yes.
far.
Okay.
Even though the stats for the year are very comparable. I mean,
Right.
they just don't seem to make the mistakes. And
But they're not comparable pitching wise.
it's night and
Wiz
day.
gave us offensive numbers are very comparable, but
Yeah.
not pitching, not even close.
No, you get the starters, and then
And now let's talk
the
defense.
bullpen is off the charts.
Now let's talk about the plays that the left side of the infield made for the Astros. Okay, Bregman's bare-handers were unbelievable.
Gets
okay?
those fingers underneath that ball and stride. And
I got to tell you something. I don't often get real excited for other teams' future stars. It's impossible if you're a baseball fan not to love this shortstop Pena for the. I mean, this kid at 24 years old, and this kid's going to play 14 more years in Major League Baseball, and he's going to make all the plays. He's going to be an offensive, contributor. But he's a gamer. Just to see his demeanor on the field, Altuve's the same way. How about their middle? Because Altuve's not done yet. He's got 3 to 5. How solid are they? And they got 3 guys in the minors. They're going to make some smart. Their payroll's not outrageous. I think they were 8th at about $1.88 mil. So they got wiggle room there. So Houston's not going away. Some of these teams win, and you say, okay, that was the end of the sponge. They squeeze the last drop. You won't see him back next year.
Oh,
How
Houston
pissed off will the Dodgers be next year?
I think Pena.
I'm sorry. I did interrupt.
Houston is phenomenal. They'll be back. If not, the World Series, you never know. But yeah, they'll be great. They've been great. But it's because you look at their scouting. I mean, how many guys does Houston just find? They traded for Jordan Alvarez. Not a lot of people really know about that. That was very under the radar trade 'cause he was a minor leaguer at the time. And he turned into an absolute stud. But they find these guys, whether it's just their scouting, whether they're international players that they're picking up and drafting or signing, they do that. And they just continue to replace guys that leave their team. I mean, Carlos Correa left. He was a great player. And who comes and takes his spot? It's Jeremy Pena. I mean, how do you do that? That is why they're so good year after year.
Well, you see some of these kids are getting, when they're signed at 17 years old in the Dominican Republic and getting $10,000, which is $1 million at that time, and you have to have that scouting system there. And how about this for Pena, for a 24-year-old kid? First rookie to hit in 6 straight World Series games, first rookie shortstop to win the Gold Glove, MVP of the American League Series, and MVP of the World Series. How do you top that?
No, that's insane.
What makes the Astros the Astros? A little research to Wiz's very, very good point. Earlier this month, the New Yorker published a Opus.
I don't know what that is.
Opus 1.
Help me, Pete, on whether people change their core selves over the course of a lifetime. I'm not going to bore you with it, or whether they stay the same person they always were. Sprawling piece consults poetry, philosophy, psychology, personal experience, social science. The results are interesting, and albeit inconclusive. However, one particularly thorough study in the piece found that many decades, people dispositions were durable. Then they go into what the Astros had to do after being called worldwide cheats. Was that mist that they live in going to decimate and start to eat away at their culture every day, everywhere they went? Can you imagine what it was like, and still is? I mean, there are Philly fans that want to get the trash cans for the buses. Then they were reluctant to tell the Phillies fans where the buses were coming into, what hotel. So here they are 5 years later, still with that tag. So this became like a referendum for the Astros to play the game right and show that we're damn good without cheating. And they did that. Hats off on that point. This is a good article. Everybody should read this article. It's like a 10-minute read. It's a fantastic article. So, yeah, they lived up to the challenge. I mean, that's exactly what they did.
They don't have any weaknesses that I saw.
No, it's top down, and that's why Baker was so perfect for this team. 2,093 games with no ring. I think it's time that Dusty wears a ring. Congratulations, hats off to Dusty. I've not always been a big fan, given your lineups in Washington with Harper batting fifth. I screamed out on that hypocrisy. But hey, you got it done. And boy, did the GM ever do a nice job. You know, remember what they did with a lot of their C-suiters after the cheating scandal. They cleaned house a little bit. That's a big hit to take. I mean, yeah, they still had talent, but you still had to groom, recruit, draft international players. You still had to do a lot of things right, Coach, to get back and be able to be sustainable. And wow, are they ever sustainable?
Well,
right?
to go way back, what was it, the 1919 World Series with the Shoeless Joe Jackson, whatever? That's still, people still talk about that. They can remember that. So they'll still be known as cheaters. But I mean, after what they did with this series, and the world can see how solid a team they have.
Well, that's a great point. If they had lost, they would have been cheaters for life. They won. They established that they're a dynasty in the making. Hats off on that. What baseball points did we not cover? My opinion.
We talked about the offseason.
Let's go. Lead off.
Well, if you look at some of the notable free agents coming up, shortstop, the biggest one you're hearing about, because Trey Turner is a free agent.
Can't field a lick.
But the past 2 years, has a 13 WAR combined. I mean, he's a stud hitter. And that's what you're looking for.
Dandy.
Carlos Correa hasn't the opportunity to opt out with the Twins. Which if he does, he'd be another great option. Xander Bogaerts can opt out, 30 years old. Very, very solid numbers past 2 years as well. You got guys like Danby Swanson, Tim Anderson as a club option. There's some good shortstops out there. I think the Phillies need to target one of these five guys as someone we can look for the next 3-4 years, something like that in that shortstop position. Because right now, shortstop we're lacking.
Or do you say, based on Segura's regular season numbers, and boy, I'd love to be GM. I hate to be GM. You have to put weight on a regular season accomplishment. Slash line, WAR, dive in, all the other metrics. Like we see that Turner's not a great shortstop range wise. He's terrible. It's worse than Jeter, which is you and I today have more range than Jeter.
And the amazing thing with Turner is, as quick as he is as a runner, you'd think he would have that range.
Yeah. I don't know the fact that he's a bit tall, if that, or just first step, but he's quick. Yeah, they say the fastest guy in baseball.
It's a reflex, maybe.
Has bad range.
Instincts.
Way off range. I think it's RF9, which is just nothing more than your range factor per 9 innings, is like 3.6.
I'll have to pull it up.
Yeah, bring it up. And Bella, a lot of range, smaller guy, 4.8. Ozzy 5. I mean, so we set the bar, We established thresholds
It was
here.
3-3 this year.
3-3 RF9. And I look at this all day long. I don't recall seeing a shortstop 3-3. Don't recall it.
I'd have to look
I,
at
mean,
it.
I think that's the worst range factor I've ever seen. Now, as soon as we do this, a lot of the guys that do analytics for a livelihood text me. They're like data scientists, cybermetrics guys. I get some guys, man. They're all right, we know it. And I go, you know what? Educate me. And then I'm listening, and they're off base. And I push back, whoa, that's not what I said. You're changing the narrative. What I said is this simple number, and you're telling me, well, he had a really good third base alongside him. Oh, I guess Boa, when he established the second best numbers to Ozzie, didn't have Schmidt.
Michael Jack.
Gunners left a little bit. Michael Jack, so and you get the guys that say their pitching staff doesn't allow ground balls. Well, you look at that, then you find out that at the end of the day, all that stuff evens the hell out. Boa didn't get necessarily more ground balls because of Carlton and stuff like that. The bottom line is Jeter had bad range, and it shows up in his RF9. If you look at Turner's RF9 and you think you're picking up a shortstop, his RTOT, which is a measure of defensive ability, how many runs you let in, plus or minus. You want to be plus, right, Wiz?
Oh, yeah.
What was his RTOT last year?
Yeah, it was
negative.
Last year was -10.
-10.
This year was
now.
+1.
So, I mean, the guy's not a good shortstop.
Oh, wait, hold on.
And yet, if we sign him, we're going to get the people say what a great shortstop Turner is, just like the guy in center field.
No, last year's RTOT was 0.
0. I thought it was 0.
-10 was a 3-game. That was right above 2022.
What's he
but not the
cumulative
total.
of his career? RTOT.
He's negative.
There you go. So like I say,
3.
okay.
Start
Now,
off
Short,
with the
at
word
shortstop,
negative,
-3.
other guys like him at shortstop that are known to be good defenders, they're for a career, plus 26. Some guys plus 80. Look at Belanger, stuff like that. The
Yeah,
guy's
but he
got
hits.
100.
And let's compare his bat.
But
now,
he hits.
though,
No,
and he
I'm
hits.
just saying, but if we sign him, yes or no, we start hearing about what a great shortstop he is. Like we heard Marsh is a great
yeah. Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we're going to hear that. So get ready, everybody. If we sign Turner, we're going to hear that he's a great shortstop. He's not as good as the guy that we got right now, Stott.
Excellent.
Yeah, tell Turner to go to second base. Then you won't hear that narrative anywhere. Right?
You know what I was curious about? Dansby Swanson.
Yeah.
Now, does he feel maybe a little underappreciated with a great team that Atlanta has with all they have a lineup that could
did
be
Freeman?
good. But
what a
with
pushback.
Swanson, would he fit in? I think he would fit in great with the Phillies because, like I say, he's batting 8th or 9th with the Atlanta. Their lineup is so pumped up and everything like that. But wouldn't Atlanta try and make a big move to keep him there?
I think Atlanta has a bring Turner in and no one's going to stop us. As good as Swanson is. I don't agree with that necessarily, but remember I called last year that the Freeman was walking. I got that was the number one thing I took heat on. The second one close to that was when I said that the Sixers guy, what's his name? Hayden,
James Harden.
that he's done. He's done. That he was 500th in defense. I put all that out there. Boy, I got roasted on that. I proved to be right. But anyway, I think we do sign a marquee shortstop. And Stalka's the second. We let Segura walk. I think we conclude.
Yeah, Segura, they got to pick up $17 million. So
Yeah.
and he's what 32
Yeah, so,
years old.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
the factor. That's the point. And we need a pitcher, obviously, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the Phillies, basically, I mean, it's nothing major. Most people know, but Segura's got the $17 million team option. Eflin's got a $15 million mutual option. They're probably going to be free agents. Nola's got a $16 million club option. That's obviously going to be picked up.
Right.
And then, you need a pitcher because Syndergaard, Gibson, Robertson, Brad Hand, Corey Knebel, Johan Camargo, and Chris Davinsky all become free agents.
Oh, okay. Bye.
Don't let the door hit you.
Yeah. And now,
I have one pushback on one of those guys, but I'm not going to say it.
which one?
No, that's okay. I'm not going to say it.
Okay, yeah. So if you look at other positions that we need, center field right now, we clearly don't have a center fielder.
They're
I
going to
don't
keep Marsh.
think they're going to just roll with the guy.
Absolutely. They love him.
Yeah, I do really.
He batted 280, didn't
No,
he?
yeah, but you look at cumulatively. But yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of great center fielders out there
No,
who are young.
that's-
Brandon Nemo's the best option. But he's 30.
Yeah.
I guess you got some age.
Nemo could play for
advantage.
me. I know that.
Oh, I'd take him in a second over Marsh.
JT was the best catcher in baseball.
Oh, we're not getting rid of JT.
No,
Look
you're
at
solid,
other
man.
positions. I mean, first base. If we got rid of Hoskins, which I doubt will happen, you have Rizzo could opt out. Josh Bell, Brandon Belt, Yoli Gurriel. There's a couple guys out there. I don't think they'll replace them. There's not a lot of free agents out there outside of the shortstop position, which is loaded this year.
Yeah.
Where the Phillies need someone.
Yeah.
What do you think about Hoskins' value on the market as a guy can hit 30 home runs and somebody think, well, I think he could be a good DH with us and face left-handed hitting?
I think the fact that he starts to go sub 800 OPS and strikeouts up, so to win games, and there's a RC27 that we don't talk about much, and all it is, gang, is runs created over 27 outs. In my world of analytic stats, that's the bellwether. That's the one I look at. And by the way, if you look at the Phillies World Series, you see that Harper's like at 10.2 and the next guy's like at 5. It really correlates, okay? But I'm sorry. I totally took myself off in the
Hoskins thing.
Yeah, Hoskins below 800, and the strikeouts going up. So as his OPS goes down and his strikeouts go up, and he walks less, so his on base goes down. We know about his defensive. I can't place market value on him. I really
Like
can't.
I said, if anybody thinks he could be a DH, they're not worried about him playing first base.
Yeah, no, but I mean, market value as an offensive player. He'll get you 65 to 70 extra base hits. He's kind of a peculiar study because Hoskins will get hot and he will get you 30 doubles, 30 home runs, and 34, 32, and 2 triples, and he's 70 extra base hits. And that's a premium. Guys in Major League Baseball that can have enough power for 70 extra base hits, they don't grow on trees. So, like last year when you look at Hoskins coming off the year before that, which were bigger numbers, there was a premium on him. He was like ranked 5th, and I was defending him. I don't think you could defend him now. And the routine ball to his left twice, that impact games, that I can't defend that at all. You got to make both those plays. That's a joke.
No doubt about it.
That's a joke. I mean, you got a runner coming home. You got him dead to rights. He's on contact. All right? And you're going to your left. That ball takes a little cute straight up hop, and you don't even come close on that ball, right?
And you're not going to teach somebody who's 30 years old how to play first base again.
And I'm going to say this. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. I'm going to say the reason our guy at third base, Alex Baum, is it, right? And Stott, may have said them right or wrong. They both improved immeasurably August and September and October from a lot of work. We know the source that tells us about the work they're doing, okay? And boy, did they improve from a lot of hard work. I wonder if Hoskins is as dedicated in putting the time and effort in to improving at first base.
He's not because he's such.
Or he would, right?
As a professional athlete, they're so talented. If you work at something that's not overly difficult, and I'm not of the opinion that stretching at first is overly difficult or scooping a ball, you get better. Because I know that if I spent 2 weeks doing nothing but work on the outfield, I would be a really good short hopper.
Right.
Now, on throws and stuff. But now this is a professional athlete.
Right.
He should be phenomenal at this, but he hasn't worked at it.
It's a good point.
He may have spent half hour a day. That's not enough. He needs to spend hours out there fielding this. Because why did Bohm become such a great third baseman in late in the season? He worked at it. He got better.
We were told.
Look at the improvements Stott made. And why did Hoskins just stay bad?
That's your great
It's like
point.
all he wants to do is hit home runs.
I think Bohm
Did
a
he
lot
work
had
at it at all?
Yeah, I think Bohm had a lot with the confidence
Now,
after
if-
he went through all that trouble early.
I love devil's advocate, so I want to pretend Hoskins' agent is at the table. He's going to point out that he took a negative DRS, defensive run score, and turned it into a positive in late July and August and September. He did get better at first base. And then,
Late in the season?
yeah, look it up. Look it up. But you don't have to look it up. You can
But look what we did in the playoffs.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
That's when it matters.
the propensity never changes, does it?
No, but that's all people
Rule
are
of
going to
economics.
remember. I mean, he's not scooping balls. He dropped the ball right at him in the air.
Touche. I don't know what touche means. My cousin Tommy tells me I use it wrong. Touche. I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, I remember when I played for Sam at Ivy Viking, and we had one weak link on defense, and no, I won't mention his name. We only had him for 1 year. And we got around it. We had, a 440 relay team in the outfield. We knew when we got to face you or Lombardo's that we were going to have the ball hit to him with bases loaded, and that would be the end, and we did 3 times, and that was the end. And Sam said, told you couldn't hide that guy. You couldn't hide that guy. And batters listen to this right now going, oh, Chuck, good job, my man. You didn't mention his name, But, yeah. So are we ranting? Because I got to get to a doctor's appointment at 11:45.
Yeah, let's
Don't
go.
lock me out at 11:50, Coach, you want to bring it?
How about let me go third here?
Yeah,
let me
go
just
ahead.
think about
You want to
something.
go lead off again? You bat lead off twice today.
All right. I mean,
You don't like
I-
lead off?
I am nothing but rant today because it is one of the worst weekends in Philadelphia sports history.
Good golly.
The Phillies blew the World Series, in my opinion, up 2-1. Chance to put it away at home, go up 3-1, go up 3-2, going into Houston, win one game on the road. Didn't do it. We blew the World Series. Our lineup wasn't where it needed to be. Our defense wasn't where it needed to be. The mindset wasn't where it needed to be. And we let those Astros, who in my opinion cheated us out of a World Series, win. I mean, I'm not happy with any of this right now. I don't see how anyone could be pleased with this season when we're up 2-1 and we just lost the World Series. We may not be here for another decade. If you look at how some of these young teams are loaded, how the Mets, the Braves, the Dodgers are loaded. This was our year to do what the Braves did last year. This was our year for that, and we missed the opportunity. I don't care that we made the World Series. It's your first place or your last. Ricky Bobby mentality. That's all I have.
Slide your laptop up. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse my son's glass
Half full.
half full mentality.
As you're pouring water.
Yeah, all over the goddamn table. Clean up on aisle 9. Barry comes running in. What a wonderful experience. 17 trips in the playoffs, a near World Series title. Watching the guys and the boys do what they do, the fans, the grandkids, granddad with the granddaughter, seeing stuff that we haven't seen since the 8 to 11. I mean, what we experienced with our own kids. We're criticizing the guys at the Diamond Club, the fans for not being up on a 3-0 count. It all came home, man. It all came home. My cousin Kelly on the floor in the kitchen and walking down the street. Hey, don't forget the bedrooms. We had some really cool parties, a lot of fun. The moments, you know what it was? Waking up, knowing that there was a World
great energy.
Series game. I mean, I'm always a happy guy, but I was like insanely
I was.
gleeful. I was jubilant everywhere I went, and so were other people. This was an infusion of happiness. This was unbelievable, and now I can't watch an NFL game at all. I love it. I thank you. I thank the Phillies. I thank the top management. You didn't do all the things I would have done, but you got to the World Series. Thank you for that trip. What a ride. Let's do it again next year and win it, Coach.
I'm going to go out on a positive slant here. And since you just said something about it, let's talk about the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. Hurts is making $1 million this year, and there are 53 other quarterbacks in the NFL making more money than Hurts.
Wow.
And he's the first quarterback in Eagle history when his first 10 starts. That's a 90-season type thing, folks. So let's be positive that we got our quarterback, we think, and let's go Eagles.
He's the best quarterback in football. Anybody out there that disagrees, 609-828-5569. But it only counts if you disagree and you text me. And I won't meet you at the Capitol Grill. You can have the tuna extra rare, all right? And bring that debate into the Capitol Grill because I want to smoke you on that because you're looking at the best quarterback in football for 7 of the next 10 years, whatever, because this kid's going to scramble. He's going to be accurate. He's going to have a big arm. He's smart. But you know what I love about him most? You guys are going to both agree with this. This kid wants to be the best. His dad,
He's a fierce competitor.
He's fierce, Alabama born and raised. This kid wants to be the best.
I think
gotta love him.
I think he's top 3 personally.
Well, maybe right now, but I think the last 2 games top or whatever. But he's going to be the best.
And you know what spurs him on? When he was at Alabama, he was 26-2 as
Yeah.
a starter. But then in a bowl game
Yeah, we know
against
that. Yeah, right.
Tua
Good
came
point.
in. So
Yeah.
the thing is, like, he just wants to prove not only
and
to himself,
what
to everybody else.
People don't know. We don't have time to get into it. But I'll ask you a yes or no question about Alabama, political. Did Tua have brothers underneath him that were allegedly going to Bama, that one ended up going to Maryland? How's he doing? Really good.
Yeah.
They had to keep that bloodline going, okay? So that's why Hurts gets jettisoned out, okay, in the play that they made at the end of the game. Yeah, hats off on that. So he goes to Oklahoma, a passing school, and only throws 71%. The guy was a complete stud in college, and I had no reason to doubt him. And Eskin's comments when the Eagles drafted him, did he ever just dump on Hurts? Cause a Wentz and all that.
For a little blast of irony, the only quarterback with a higher quarterback rating this year than Jalen Hurts is Tua.
Yeah, about that. I mean,
Tua's having a very quietly great year.
Where's Geno Smith?
Third.
You kidding
And
me?
Tua has
Geno.
2 or 3 of the best receivers.
Geno
in the
Smith
league, too.
is showing his potential this year that he
This is
never
great.
got with the mediocre Jets.
This is great.
Yeah.
And I had somebody tell me over the weekend that they thought Minnesota was in a good stamp. You got stamps. Elite, great, good. Minnesota, not good, not elite, right? Every year, what are they? Frauds, right?
You think they might have a quarterback that has problems in the playoffs?
Yeah, you think he's 0-12.
And I'll give you guys a quick question to end it.
We never
You
end.
can have
this is a show that never ends.
You have 6 young quarterbacks that are huge names. Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Trevor Lawrence. Well, take Trevor Lawrence out. He stinks.
Think about
5 quarterbacks. Hurts, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Jackson. You could pick one to start a franchise with today. Who are you picking?
I'll let Al go. This is such an easy question.
Oh, right now I'm saying Hurts.
And there's no comparison. He's going to be that good.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hurts.
Okay?
I mean, he's a stud.
And
I would
fans,
pick Hurts right now.
Not only did you hear it here, like a lot of other really good calls was made. By the way, we've got them all documented. We keep them in a safe. We don't bring them out every week. But this time next year is when I want you to call me. And so, you guys said he was going to be the best quarterback in football. He's throwing 74% because it keeps getting easier each year. I don't know what's happening to the defense, okay? But they're throwing higher and higher percentages each year. So he'll be 74%. Look at the Eagles receivers. How are you going to defend them? He'll still run. I hope he doesn't get hurt running. But there's no pun intended, right?
Hurts.
Yeah,
No.
and I think the Eagles are a 3.5 to 4.5 point favorite in the Super Bowl. I see that's how it ends. I see him winning it, and I don't see Buffalo or Kansas City matching up. I don't think Kansas City will get there. I project Buffalo to have best record. No one's going into Buffalo. What's the name of the stadium? In January, 22-degree wind chill and all that nonsense. They're not going in there to beat Buffalo, and it's going to be Buffalo, Philly. That's where I'm at on that whole thing. So that's it,
All right.
man. Greta,
That's a wrap.
Wow, I'm exhausted, and good job, everybody.
Let's go Eagles. It's
No
all
more
Eagles
baseball.
now.
We'll see you next week for
Let's go Birds.
for football, and don't forget we got a basketball team too to talk about, and a hockey team.
Let's-
We'll pick it up next
We'll talk
week.
about basketball in January.
That might be a short conversation.
Wrap it.